Recording here. Welcome, welcome. We're just so glad to have you here. I can't wait for this conversation with you. And let me go ahead and introduce you to everybody.
Please.
So Khadija Yansane is the founder of bloomintoyou.com and the creator of the signature program, The Client Creation Queen, 8 weeks to get clients, get paid, and live your sacred calling. She has coached and consulted with dozens of Fortune 500 companies like Visa, Charles Schwab, Clorox, and Robert Half, and more. She's been trained by and worked directly with top 7-figure leaders in the coaching industry like Mama Gina and Nicole Dedone. Over the past decade, she's coached and trained hundreds of her clients to do things like get their first 10K month, get their first and next paying clients, create and develop their profitable niche, lead their first workshops, start and grow their own communities online and offline, charge more for their services, package their offerings, position themselves as experts in their respective field. Additionally, she has facilitated and led hundreds of workshops, events, programs, and classes, both online and offline, in the areas of personal growth and business development. Khadija was a women's studies major at UC Berkeley and studied coaching at JFK. Her life and passion has been devoted to empowering women to own their value, charge what they're worth, and do what they love. Last but certainly not least, she is the proud mamapreneur of 2, Naima, who's 6, and Khalil, who's 4, with her partner, Mike, and they live in the San Francisco Bay Area. Wonderful. And Khadija, your topic for today is entrepreneurship as a path to spiritual awakening, which I believe is so important. And I know we've had these conversations that you cannot start a business without going on a massive spiritual journey.
Yes.
So could you begin by sharing with us how has entrepreneurship been a spiritual awakening for you in your own life?
Yes, thank you so much for this space. I just feel everyone's energy in the comments, and I'm glad that we get to continue having this conversation, Jocelyn. You know, I never really saw myself as an entrepreneur early on. However, now at 44, when I look, hindsight's always 2020, and that there was always that stirring within me. And I remember when I was applying to go to college, I went to Berkeley High School and I was applying for colleges. And I remember writing that I didn't see myself having a 9-to-5 job. I'm not putting that down. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that some people, their calling is like they work for an amazing company. And my dad, who's a professor, he was reading my essay. He's like, he's African, West African. Both my parents are immigrants from Guinea. He's like, darling, you cannot say that. I can't say that I don't want to work 9-to-5 because everyone does that. And so of course I erased that or deleted that part. But I think what my thought process was that I felt that I wanted to be free. And that doesn't mean that you can't be free in a 9-to-5 job, but I feel like I saw that for myself early on. And I've been a coach for about 12 years now, a business coach for 5 years. And even as I went on that journey, I didn't do it to be an entrepreneur. I just was passionate about my own human potential. And even if I were not a coach, I would still be exploring that because I feel like we're here to self-actualize. I feel like we're here to become the truest version of ourselves. Just like the previous guest was reminding us that we are love, and we forget that. And I think that our journey is back home to that knowingness. And so, of course, now I see it as a spiritual journey. And I think anything can be. I think I'm a parent. I have 2 children. Motherhood, parenthood can be a spiritual journey. Our relationships can be spiritual teachers. But I think for people who identify as guides, as healers, as coaches, part of our work is to wake up to the truth of who we are and usher people on that transformational process. And so much comes up for you when you begin to put yourself out there, when you hit live, when you hit post, when you do an event like this. You make yourself vulnerable to what other people will think about you, and to see where you get hooked. Like, oh, I'm still, my whole identity is based on what other people are thinking about me. If I get likes, if I get comments, if they think I'm good enough. So I feel like we're presented with a huge opportunity to really face ourselves, and to know that just by breathing, just by existing, that we are worthy, and that you don't have to prove or earn that. And I see entrepreneurship as a vehicle for our deep soul expression. And yes, many people want to have that be their livelihood, but for me, it feels like a devotion. It feels like a prayer to my calling. And I'm committed to that first before anything else. And yes, I want to serve, and yes, I want to help, but there's this deep yearning to be the fullest expression of who I am. And I find that most of the people, all, if not all of the people that I work with or in my community, they feel that same way, that there's this deep yearning within them that they have to birth, that they have to express before they leave this planet. So I'm not sure if that answers your question,
Yes,
but
very beautifully. Thank you. And yeah, I think such a big piece of this too is like courage, you know, because it can be terrifying to hit
absolutely.
post or hit live or whatever it may be in your business, you know. And there is this, I know for me, it's been a tremendous journey of courage, of constantly going outside of my comfort zone. And that will evolve you no matter how you might try to resist evolution or, you know, the spiritual journey, that will evolve you like nothing else, really, like stepping into fear and then through fear.
I love that you're saying this, because so many people, I think one of the biggest things that I hear in my work and my conversation is that people think that it's confidence. Like, oh, if I just had the confidence, then I could do it. And I think that confidence is important. And I love that you brought up courage, because I think courage is actually more important than confidence, because through doing things that require you to be courageous, you build your courage muscles, and that leads to confidence. And you and I had this conversation, just about leaning into your fear, and to the dialogue that you're having about yourself. Like, am I worthy? Am I good enough? Am I good enough? Is my offer good enough? Can I really deliver what I promise? Or thinking that, one of the things I hear a lot is people feeling like they need to have a program or like all these external things, and then to realize that you're the program.
Yes.
The worksheets, the other things can support you, and that's whether you're a coach, guide, or healer.
Mhm.
But I think that part of why so many people seek teachers, guides, is that there's something that happens when you're in an energy field. And so, like, we're here in this beautiful energy field that you have created, that my heart feels so open. I've been on here, 8 minutes? I haven't downloaded a worksheet. I didn't watch a video. But your deep presence and your deep intention is so palpable. Like, I feel the 66 people on this call. Like, that's the power when you show up in your purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. There have been many times when I have not had confidence, but I had courage for sure. So, yeah, I love what you said there. Well, so as far as, so if we're on a spiritual journey, then we need some practices to help us survive and thrive in that journey. So, how have spiritual practices helped you and or your clients in their business and personal evolution?
Yes. I was just talking with a girlfriend the other night about journaling. And I was sharing with her that my cousin came to live with us when I was about 8 years old. And I would always see her writing in a journal. And I don't know if it was actually a big journal, but in my kid's mind, like, I imagined it was this really big journal. And her name was also Khadijah. And she told me, she was in her late teens, maybe early 20s. I was like 8 or 9. And she told me that it was always good to write down my thoughts and be connected to how I feel. And so I've always had a journaling practice. It has evolved over time. I don't know that I saw it as a practice then. And as a young person, it went from Dear Diary. I look back, sometimes it'd be like Dear God. And that has been something that has always been with me and continues to be with me. And I love this practice so much is that sometimes we're talking to people, and even though they're well-meaning, we can't say everything that's there. And so for me, writing allows me to be completely honest about how I feel, what's present for me, and then to also declare and create what I want. And so for me, that's the most consistent practice that I have. For you, it might be meditation. I mean, I do have a Vedic meditation practice that I have ebbs and flows with throughout my life. I do emotional freedom technique. I, do a lot of self-care practices. And I feel like during this time of the pandemic, like I take regular Epsom salt baths in the morning before my kids wake up. And
That's a
just being
really
able
good idea.
so good. It just to be able to have that time in the morning to myself. Sometimes I read, I journal, and it just like gathers my energy. And I think it's so important because we're so inundated with social media, with current events, with news. And if you're a mom or you have a full-time job, there's so much exertion of energy, and it's critical to be able to have that time to replenish, resource yourself. And that's where your like divine ideas come through and you can hear your intuition. It's how it's guiding you to take the next steps in your life, in your business. And I would say for clients, I always start there. Like, what is it that you really want to create in your life? What does your ideal life look like? And how can your creative projects, your business, the things support that versus feeling like that's taking a back seat, because that's not what you want. You want it to take a front seat. So I find that the spiritual practice is always bringing me back to who I am, bringing you back to your innate wholeness, and realizing that you're not alone, that there is a higher voice or higher self or God, universe, whatever it is that you refer to the oneness love as, that is always there guiding and supporting you.
Yeah, absolutely. To know that there's, oh, I think we have an echo. Can you hear me okay?
I think you're great.
Okay. Just to know that there's this bigger plan, right, that we're a part of, and there's this intelligence guiding us, right? Whatever kind of practices can help us to connect in with that. I know that has been just completely central for me in my work.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say that sometimes with the state of the world, the state of your life, it can be easy to forget that. And being able to plug into that daily practice and knowing what to do next, and realizing that we're all interconnected, that we're not separate from the earth, we're not separate from what's happening in the world, and that you're not alone. And I think that sometimes it can be easy to forget that if you don't have that ongoing connection or spiritual practice.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we are this whole year for sure. Business has been so different, at least since mid-March with
Yeah.
all of the global events. It's really shifted so many things, for everybody on all levels, but including entrepreneurial. So what are some challenges that your clients have been seeing this year? And then what advice do you have for us from these learnings?
Sure. Yeah. So I've had clients who maybe they were doing things offline, and maybe they were either reluctant or didn't like social media. And because of shelter in place, then they had to rethink things and move through. Some people do have a moral aversion to social media, which I think that's your right, And other people, it just has been too far outside of their comfort zone. And so because that is the place where you have now to promote, a lot of people who had to step up in that capacity. A lot of people have shared with me that they really felt conflicted around selling during this time, especially if they identify as a spiritual entrepreneur and that it's truly in their desire to help people and be of service. So and that was before the pandemic. I feel like that's an ongoing theme that clients share with me. I think it's been magnified because of the pandemic. And so that conflict of, is it okay to charge, how much to charge? A lot of people have lost their jobs and that there's been a huge change. And so I think that however you felt about sales, marketing, and visibility, it's almost amplified during this time. And I feel like it's something that people are continually having to make peace with, making sales. And one of the things that I say is that a teacher needs students, not need students, but in order for you to teach, you have to have people to consume what you're doing. So like, you've created this amazing event, and you could have created this event, and if no one showed up, then they couldn't receive all that you're wanting to share here. So an event needs an audience, teachers need students, healers, guides, doctors need patients, coaches need clients. And I don't mean that as in you need them, but it's the mutual circle. So someone who's a musician, you want to share your art, you want people to receive your music. And so I think just having that understanding that it's a loop, that it's receiving and giving. When you have a client, when you enroll people into your services, then you get to share what you're doing. If there's no one there, then the expression isn't complete. It's ending with you. And I think that being able to reframe that has really helped a lot of clients. That being said, a lot of people worry about, well, I want people to be able to afford my services or make things accessible. And there's so many ways to do that. Like, you're offering this amazing conference and it's free. It's free. So there's nothing keeping you from having different ways to share your gifts. Some can be free, some can be paid, and you can set up different things in your business to do that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree with everything you said here, and I think this is really a time to look at our revenue models and be really revolutionary with our pricing and our revenue models. I know it's just kind of naturally happened, and like this forum, the summit, festival, conference, online forum, it's a beautiful model where people can attend completely for free, or they can purchase lifetime access. Like, it's an option, right? And so it gives people choice in how they want to engage and how they want to attend, and it's all fully available. And I know you create summits too, Khadijah, so I know you know this model very well.
Yes, I love this model. And I just wanted to say there's so many ways to. So I was speaking with someone who's created over 1,000 YouTube videos that are all free, just from the love of his heart. And it wasn't an intentional, marketing model. It just felt like this was how Spirit was telling him to serve, is to do these videos. I have another colleague. She is a blogger. She's got almost 1,000 blogs that she's taken time to write to be of service. And so it doesn't have to be either or, that you can either charge or it has to be free. You can do both. And not everything has to be monetized. Not everything has to be monetized. We're at choice about what we get to monetize or not.
Yeah, and I think it's important to have a mix too, to have things that are free and have things that are, definitely there's a certain particular cost to them, because we also can't exhaust ourselves doing everything for free. That's the other side of the equation, that we want to find the balance right in the middle.
So
Um,
true. Because
yeah.
a lot of times sometimes people come feeling depleted for that exact same reason that you just said, is that they've given so much away
Yeah.
and they've given so much of themselves, and there has to be that exchange. And you just think about it, like in a relationship, if you're the one who's always showing up, if you're the one who's always making the plans, if you're the one who's always cooking or whatever it is, it might be interesting in the beginning, but at a certain point, the pendulum's going to swing the other way and it's going to be depleting. And so I think that it's the same thing with currency, with money, you know, and it's like, oh, okay, there has to be that giving and receiving for it to feel sustainable, which is key.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We have to take good care of ourselves and our energy as well. And yeah, we can create a mix. And I know I have things I offer for free. I have things I offer donation based, and I have things that are a set price. So it's like, hopefully, anyone who wants to work with me, can find a way to do that, and that works for them, and that feels good. So I think it's anyway. In any case, it's a good time to be revolutionary with our with our pricing for sure. Yeah. Well, so what what has kept you spiritual during these times, these rapidly changing times that we are in? What have you found inspiration in?
Hmm. Well, definitely being out in nature, being going on my daily walks with my family, with my kids, you know, doing simple things like decluttering. I feel like this time of 2020 is a time of huge release and of letting go. And so whether that is physical debris and clutter, whether that's letting go of relationships or jobs that don't serve, whether that's the crumbling down of structures, economic structures, racial structures that no longer that just aren't acceptable and don't work. And so I feel like 2020 is a year of huge clearing. And I think that we've only just begun, but some of the things that have been incredibly sustaining for me are being out in nature, spending time in the backyard, decluttering, letting go of things I don't need. And then just my business is really a vehicle for my self-expression. And so I feel like I have felt incredibly creative and created a lot of things. I have an upcoming podcast. I have been more present in my communities. I have been serving clients and taking care of myself in a way that shelter in place has allowed me to do more so. And us all being together as a family has been incredibly healing for me. And then just being in my own communities as a student, being reminded about things that, yes, I know, but I forget, and that are putting me back on my path of wellness and wholeness. So being mindful about what I'm taking in, whether it's food or maybe am I getting enough water, just the daily practices, taking time to stop on a daily basis. I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah.
And I know that, you know, 2020 has been tough in so many ways. And I feel like there's 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 also been an expansion, I feel like, in my heart, and more motivation in terms of things that are dropping off, and having me even be more clear on my purpose and my calling and what I'm here to do, and caring less and less about what other people think, how I'm supposed to be, and just like a lot of stripping away, Jocelyn, a lot of stripping away, and really nurturing, I think, my spiritual life in an even deeper way.
Yeah, really beautiful, really beautiful. I think that is, if we're paying attention now, like that is one of the huge opportunities at this time, is that like letting go of all the things that it's like we're getting really clear on what's most important.
Mm.
And then that gives us the chance to let go, like you're saying, of all this extra stuff that's been like maybe not needed at all. So yeah.
I mean, when you say that, it just makes me think you know, I want to spend more time with my children, and I do. But like, I feel like one of the things that I've had to sit with is like, am I being the mom that I want to be? And I don't mean this in some like ideal version of 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 what a mom's supposed to be, but like, what are the things that I want them to look back on and remember about our time together? You know, I confess, like, there have been times where I'm really passionate about my work, where I can be consumed and distracted and all in, and, you know, creating healthier boundaries of like, okay, this is the boundary around my time, and now this is just family time, and we don't have phones. And I'm not like multitasking, and my son doesn't have to like move my face like this and be like, mama, are you listening? You know, so really just looking at who I am and who I want to be, and making decisions that really support that.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. What advice do you have for other mamapreneurs? Because it's such a big thing right now where many of the kids are either have been virtual or they're still virtual now, and or they might be going virtual again soon. There's like so much up in the air, schedules changing rapidly, and then if the kids are home while we're working, it is a whole other world really that we're entering into.
Well, I'm figuring it out with you.
Yeah, there's
And
no definite answer on that one, right?
I think, as with all things, that it's important to have acceptance of what is. You know, it's like, okay, you know, yes, it would be ideal if you could go to a co-working space, or if the kids were at school and you could work at home peacefully, but that isn't the case. You know, sometimes you get interrupted. And I was leading a meditation the other day, and my husband wasn't here. And I told my daughter, you know, I was like, I'm just going to be 20 minutes, you know, and then I'll be right back. And of course, she knocked on the door several times during the meditation. And so I would have to mute and be like, I'll be right there. And I have to breathe. And so it's not like I had that moment, and I've had some moments like that. But I think that it's, you know, taking time out for yourself. We need that. Taking time out for yourself, whether it's in the morning or the day, having some point in the day where you can just be alone, or even if it's 5 minutes, it doesn't have to be that long. And you and I had talked about, you know, we have a hammock in the backyard. And one of the things I do when I have a busy work day, or I'm going session to session, I'm like, okay, I just need to get outside. Let me get some sun for 5 minutes. Sometimes it's longer than 5 minutes, but if all I have is 5 minutes to do something that's replenishing for myself, I encourage you to do it. It is so required. Someone's saying here, I bow down to all the mothers in this situation. Yes, self-care is crucial for sanity. It absolutely is crucial for sanity. Whether you're a mom or whether you're not a mom, self-care is crucial for sanity. And it's how you show up more resourced and have the energy and the hope to keep going. Because if you're just on autopilot and listening to the news and the elections next week, like, anxiety is at an all-time high, and we can think of creative solutions when our nervous system is settled. So the way to settle your nervous system is to do the things that do that. So whether that's laying your body down for 5 minutes, submerging yourself in water, maybe it's meditating. If it's not realistic for you to meditate for 20 minutes, give yourself 2 minutes, give yourself 3 minutes. If it's the sun, if it's going on a short walk, you know, I think sometimes a lot of people are holding themselves to standards that they had before the pandemic, and that's not realistic. It's like, okay, if all you have is 15 minutes, be compassionate with yourself and say, that's what I have right now. And then I also want to add, someone saying this message goes straight to my heart. Oh, I'm glad. Thanks, mama. That, you know, maybe the house is messier than usual. I know my house is, and it's like, we just have to be willing to be flexible and relax our standards. Like there's so much that we're juggling as a collective and individually. So what can you do on a daily basis to soothe your nervous system? And so like, this is a small thing. Like I've got some essential oil here. So usually, after a call, I'll like spray myself or, take some few deep breaths. If all you have is 3 breaths, give yourself those 3 breaths. It doesn't take a lot to soothe our nervous system.
Yeah, this is such a beautiful message that, yeah, even if you only have 2 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever it is. I know sometimes for me, even if I'm tired and I just need to close my eyes for like 3 minutes, and then it's like my brain, the cobwebs can clear out, and I can like come back and just feel so much better. Um,
And you're outside right now, like sometimes if you're indoors and it's just like you've been indoors for like just getting outside and being outside will just really clear things up.
yes, definitely. I try to work from my outdoor office here in the grass whenever possible, because it's healing to just sit on the earth,
Yes.
just integrate that in as much as possible. And I love your Epsom salt bath in the morning. I had not thought of taking that in the morning. That's really, really good. Like before everything kicks in for the day.
I love it in the morning. And I wasn't doing that as much in the morning before the pandemic, but it's become a staple. And I before I had kids, I would take baths all the time, but I have brought that back, and it is so healing for me. For those of you that are bath people, get in the bath.
It's very, very healing. Well, I have one more question that I would love to ask you, and then maybe we can open it up to the audience for some Q&A. Um, what would you say to those who are listening who are at the very beginning of their entrepreneurial journey? So maybe they haven't started the business yet, but they're hearing the call, they know they need to do this, or maybe they've just started, but it hasn't taken off yet. What are your best words of advice for that beginning point when like we know we have a mission, but we don't know how to get it going yet?
My daughter learned to meditate with me. She's learned that mom is not available for those minutes while you're meditating. Beautiful. What I would say for newer stage entrepreneurs, or so maybe you've started or you just have the inkling, is first to know that you wouldn't have that inkling in your heart. Like that inkling is there for a reason. It's showing you what your potential is, what's possible for you, like your higher self's vision for you. And I would say that it doesn't have to be perfect. I always say take the next step. So often people are like so far ahead of themselves. And it's just like, what is the first thing that you feel called to do or share? Do you want to offer something online? Do you want to start blogging? Do you have an idea for a video that you'd like to put out? And I would say that it doesn't have to be perfect and you don't have to know all the steps. Take the next step. And what happens when you take that next step is that it informs your next decisions. You're going to get so much feedback from that. Either you're going to realize like, wow, I love this. I want more of it. And my audience gave me feedback and this is where I can take it next. Or you're going to say, oh, that so wasn't it. Let me switch course and move in another direction. And then a lot of times I see people waiting for permission, waiting for someone to kind of like validate their idea or say that they're good enough, or, oh, wow, I could totally see you doing that. And that's great if you have that, but you're the one that has to give yourself permission, because God, universe, whatever your belief system planted that in your heart. And you get to give yourself permission to follow your soul's calling imperfectly, because no one's going to say, no one can do the work for you. And so really just like, I know that I was waiting for a long time, waiting for someone to say that I was good enough, that my idea was good enough, that, just looking for validation. I think that we're human and that it's important to have that support, which is why I recommend being in a community or working with people who are further along than you, so that you're not just relying on your own monkey mind to make the decisions, but when you see, like, look at this beautiful festival of people who are singing, they're meditators, they're artists. And when you see that, it makes you feel like you can do it too. And when you're surrounded by people who are going for it and doing it, it's going to embolden you and give you the courage to take those next steps. So I would say that reason, that impulse is in you for a reason, and that you can take a bite-sized action in that direction, and your intuition has probably already been nudging you in a direction, and get support to follow through on it. Maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a community, maybe it's a mentor or coach, but we thrive. We're not meant to do it alone. We're meant to be in community and have others support us and mirror to us our own greatness, which is the amazing value of being in communities like this one that Jocelyn has created.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly with everything you said there. And that part about like the universe has planted this seed in you for a reason. It's so
Mhm.
important to really hold that in our hearts and not forget that. Because there are a million things in the world that'll tell us, oh, we can do that next year, or oh, it's not so important. And like that's your soul calling you to your purpose in this lifetime, you know. So it's so key, so important.
And I just want to say, now's the time. Now is the time.
Yes.
And I don't mean that in a frantic, rushing way, but if it's already there, if it's already there, now's the time. And you can just take one inspired action in that direction.
Yeah, the world needs you now. If you're listening and thinking, oh, that's me, the world needs you now,
Indeed.
for sure. Well, thank you, Khadijah. This has been really beautiful. I want to open up for audience Q&A. So if anybody has a question you'd like to ask Khadijah, you can put it in the chat or put it in the Facebook group comments. Or also, if you would like to raise your hand and come over on video, that would be wonderful. So let me check on the Facebook group here. All right, no questions there yet. Okay, so we have a couple questions. MB said, you mentioned that you help people get paying clients. How do you do that?
Yes.
Good question.
Well, I have a signature program that I walk my clients through called the Client Creation Queen program. And one of the most common things that people ask me is, how do I get paying clients? And I like to reframe that question from how do I get clients to how do I create clients? So it's like we are the ones that are generating, we are the ones that are creating. So you can think about it as, how do you create opportunities for your ideal audience to interact with you? So Jocelyn has created this amazing opportunity for her community to interact with her. And so for you, that could be an event like a webinar or workshop. It could be a Facebook Live. It could be just content posts on social media, so that you build know, like, and trust factor with your potential audience. And you always want to be talking about the thing that is your niche. So if you are a nutritionist and maybe you share lots of tips about healthy eating or how to make quick meals, after you've had a long work day, how can you cook for your family in less than 20 minutes? And so if you're always sharing tips on how people can lead a healthier lifestyle, you're encouraging them to drink water, how to make, water more palpable, how they can eat and still enjoy their favorite foods, but still maintain the weight that they want. And then people will start to see you as that expert on that topic. So one way that you can create clients is to show up and talk about your topic, and then have calls to action, which is the next step that someone would take with you. So maybe that's a call, maybe that's to join your Facebook group, maybe that's an upcoming program that you are offering. So one of the things that I do, several things, like I help my clients get really clear on who their audience is, what they help them with, who they are called to serve. And that serves many purposes, is that we want people to know, like, oh, that person's a parenting coach. Or, oh, that person's an astrology expert, you know? And then that way, when people are Googling or doing their search, they can easily find you, but it also makes it easy for people to refer you. And when your audience engages with you, they like, oh, that's the problem I'm having. I have a kid who's awake at night, and this coach helps parents sleep through the night. So you really want to communicate in language that your audience or your potential clients are seeking a solution for. So let me know if that makes sense, MB.
That was a lot of super amazing advice. Thank you, Khadijah.
You're welcome. Thank you, Fabiola. She says, I'm a single mother of two and grandma now. Did it alone so far. I used to be a 9 to 9 worker until I quit 10 years ago to be an artist. Thanks for sharing. Wow, that is just what an incredible story. Being a mom and then working from 9 to 9. I'd love to know what kind of art you do, Fabiola. And Ibitsim, I'm sorry if I'm saying your
Ibtisam.
Ibitisam?
Ibtisam. Yeah.
Ibitisam. You said, gosh, that sounds like me too. Can you tell me what part sounds like you? Beautiful Fabiola. She says she paints mandalas.
Oh, amazing.
So powerful.
Fabiola, you've been on with us every day here, I think. Good to have you here.
That says that Jocelyn's is speaking the language of her community, because Fabiola has been on every day, and so she's so in tune with what would make a difference in her community's world. Oh, the cooking healthy meals for family. Yeah, so I was using that as an example of, if you were a nutrition coach, then that's what you would do. So depending on what you do, one thing that can be really valuable is to be thinking about like the frequently asked questions of your topic, or the most common questions you get asked about your topic. And so I'm just going to use astrology because that's here. So what kind of questions that people have about astrology. So you might be like, what's the difference between astronomy and astrology? I mean, I just made that up. Or what's the difference between your sun sign and your rising sign? And so when you keep talking about that and you're offering your community valuable content, they potentially will want to take the next step with you to work more deeply together.
Definitely. That's a great use of YouTube, is to be continually putting out information in your area of expertise, and it will catch on more and more. You know, you have to put some work in at the beginning to start getting people into your channel and all that, but catch on more and more as you go. I find YouTube is an amazing tool for that.
Yeah. And anywhere else you are on social media, like Instagram or Facebook,
Yeah, Facebook.
showing up and sharing what you love to do.
Yeah, definitely. Well, any other questions from the audience? Check Facebook again.
I retired early to start a new career and run a sanctuary for women. Oh, that sounds incredible. I found my niche, then COVID happened and everything shut down. There's been a lot of financial fear, and since I left my steady job, even though I was burnt out, I know eventually I'll get my guests back. In the meantime, do you have advice?
Wow, what a huge shift for you, Brenda, with COVID. Yeah, it's really big.
It is a huge shift. And I'd say that a lot of, I was going to say brick and mortar, but a lot of offline occupations, businesses have been shut down or have had to change. And I would say that because you're still running a sanctuary for women, that I would probably wanted you to distill, like, what was your intention, or what is your intention in creating a sanctuary for women, and that those components can still be alive in a different format. until you are able to run your Airbnb again. And so Jocelyn right here has created a sanctuary or a space for people to come and gather, and that there's still possibility for you to create space, a sanctuary for women in the meantime, whether that's a Facebook group, whether that's like regular online gatherings. And I would just ask, like, what am I hoping the most for this sanctuary for women? Why do I want to create this? What's my hope? And how can you bring that in a different format?
Yes,
Yes,
definitely.
you will. And you said, I know eventually I'll get my guests back. You absolutely will get your guests back. And there's still ways to engage with them in the meantime so that they're really excited when you finally open. So many people can't wait to travel, can't wait to go on retreats. And I would say that even though space is really important, it's interesting because I belong to a co-working space that obviously has been shut down for the last 8 months. And so many of all of our gatherings are online. And of course, initially people were feeling like, okay, there's Zoom fatigue. I don't want to do this. And I think that a lot of people have found that so much deep intimacy is also possible in an online format. I know it's not quite the same as being able to hug and be in person, yet it's still possible. Like, we're having that experience right now. And so I'd be curious to hear what your thoughts are on that, Brenda.
Yeah, and I think we're getting more accustomed to being intimate in this way. You know, we've needed to, for
Yeah.
sure. And I think at first it was harder because we're like, oh, I just wish I could hug you, you know, and be in the same room with you. And we're, you know, on some levels we need to accept that it's going to be a little longer before we can do that. And we're opening up to more intimacy, more sharing, more, you know, real engagement. I know I've certainly seen that all this week with this amazing community. People have been just asking the most amazing questions and sharing their stories, and it's really beautiful. So yeah, you know, you can create something like this too. You know, if anybody's called to that, you can do this kind of thing too. It's really powerful to create an online community in this way. So there's there's so much available um, in the online space, and it's very different than the in-person. Very
Mhm.
different, but there are huge possibilities and opportunities here.
Absolutely. And I just want to say, Brenda, I love that title, Sanctuary for Women, and I think that people are still looking for a sanctuary. So,
Yeah, definitely. We need the sanctuary even more. Yes. Wow. Um, well, Khadija, I want to share with everybody your website and your free gift so that everybody can get in touch with you and learn more about your work. So I have your free gift here that I'm going to put in the chat, which is Client Creation Masterclass. Would you like to say a few words about that?
yes, it's the Client Creation Masterclass. It's a 5 keys to working from home, doing what you love. And this is for you, whether you're starting out or maybe you have been getting clients, but maybe not as consistent. We cover mindset, we cover so many things that are going to help you take the next steps to put yourself out there in doable. So whether you identify as an introvert or you don't like social media, I think that you'll get a lot of benefit and value from this masterclass.
I was on mute there. Everybody definitely go and claim that free gift. It is really valuable and it's going to help you on your journey. And I know, Khadija, all of your work is just super beautiful. So I encourage everyone to go engage. Is that your main website, bloominto.com? Is that where people should go in general for your work?
It is
Okay, wonderful.
bloomingtree.com. I'm glad that you had a wonderful idea right now.
Yes.
We
And
are full of
do you want to tell us what it was, Ibtisam? I would love to know.
Khadijah is your mother-in-law's name. How interesting. So
Oh,
my name is spelled different There's no H, it's Kadidija, and the second D is silent. So I love that. Khadija.
Such a beautiful name. I love your name.
Thank you.
Well, we'll see if Ibtisam wants to
Okay.
tell us her wonderful idea. We would love to know. Yeah, well, is there any closing thought that you have for us, Khadija? Any last words of wisdom you would like to share with our amazing community here?
Well, I would love to invite us to take 3 nice deep breaths together.
That's a good idea.
So we're gonna inhale our arms. We're not gonna do it yet. And then we're gonna exhale down. So inhale and exhale. One more time, inhale and exhale. And one last time, inhale and exhale. And with your eyes closed, you're just going to place one hand on your heart if you like, and one hand on your belly or your thigh. Feeling your feet firmly grounded, rooted on the floor. And then you are going to say your name 3 times, calling yourself back to yourself, back home to yourself, any parts of you that feel scattered, calling all the pieces of you back home. Just taking a moment to feel your breath. Noticing any sensations in your body. And feeling yourself connected to all the people on this call. Remembering that you're not alone and that all of life is on your side, rooting for you to succeed. You were destined to grow. You were destined to evolve. It's already happening. Trust that, know that, feel that in the depths of your being. And when you forget, come back to your breath. Your creative ideas are not an accident, and they are on purpose. And they are guiding you to be your fullest self and to serve in only the way that you can. And taking another nice deep breath here. And just giving thanks in this moment for all that's available to you. The learning, the teaching, the joy, the music, the creative inspiration, the heart of service. Giving thanks. And as I count down from 3 to 1, and gently preparing to open your eyes. 3, 2, and 1. Thank you, Miss Jocelyn.
Thank you, Khadijah. Thank you so much. That was a beautiful way to complete our call here. And yeah, that's such a beautiful example of if you only have, what was that, 5 minutes or less, you can just take that time and drop right in. Let it be healing.
Thank you so much for having me, Jocelyn. And it was amazing to feel all of your presence on the call, all the participants. Your work is so needed.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being a part of this event. Really an honor to have you here and always delightful to talk with you. So thank you.
Here. Thanks again for including me, and enjoy the remainder of the festival. May our hearts keep opening, expanding into what is possible.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, have a beautiful rest of your day, Khadijah. Thank you so much. Bye. All right, everyone. Well, stay in this space again, this beautiful meditative space that Khadijah has created for us. And I hope you've received so much from her. Her talk here was really fun and really powerful. And I hope you've received so much today and all week from this event. It's been so fun and amazing to share this space with you. Now, I'm going to close down Zoom and Facebook Live for a little bit here, but we have one more live talk for today, and that will be with Daniel Barber, and that will be on the topic of sound improvisation. And so this is really fascinating. He teaches about improvising with the voice or with different sounds that we can make in order to help us to express ourselves more fully, to have more confidence. And so it's a really, really beautiful, fun, and exciting topic. So definitely come back in a half an hour at 5:30 p.m. New York time, 2:30 p.m. Pacific time. And I hope to see you all back here real soon. Lots of love, everybody. Bye.